Hello, I think we're live. Someone will tell us shortly if we are correct or not, because, oh boy, is it a different rodeo when you're doing everything by yourself. Let's see. Yes. Hi, Danielle. I am excited for Anthony's list as well. And of course, now I took out my cool background because I don't know what I'm doing and I messed around with all of these buttons here. I'm going to get it back. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Awesome. So we're in business there. Chris says we're all good. Fantastic. All right. Well, welcome, wonderful humans. My name is Anthony. This is Tabletop Express. This is my cool wife, Lauren, who, fortunate enough for me, also enjoys board games. So there's that.
Yes.
She was kind enough to join me on tonight's live stream of my top 20 games of all time. And boy, has it been a great ride so far on the Tabletop Express. We have gotten top 20 lists from Ryan, from Danielle, from Mr. Rao, from Chris. We've got mine tonight. Tomorrow night, we've got a combo deal of Brian Chandler and Arwen. And then a week from tomorrow is the closeout granddaddy of them all, the basically People's Choice top 20. So if you have not joined the Discord yet, do so now. So you too can participate in the Tabletop Express top 20 People's Choice, not awards, just list of stuff. So we're going to get started here very, very quickly. Real quick, we did talk a little bit, or some previous people talked a little bit about how they actually, made their list. And this is something that I will say is not a low stress task for me in any way, shape, or form. And this
is not in your wheelhouse.
It's not. I don't like choosing favorite things in general. There's some exceptions. And I really don't like, I get some anxiety about ranking things sometimes. So, this is a little bit of a process for me. But once it's finished, it's all good. And I'm good with it. So what I did was I looked at all the games in my collection. I did use PubMeeple, which is a database software thing online where you put in all the games or any list that you want. And then it brings you like choices, say this or this, and you pick which one, and then it slowly kind of measures them up and down and weighs them out. So I did that, then looked at last year's list, noticed something that I think I was missing, and did some rearranging as far as that's concerned. But I will say there are quite a bit of new games to the list, and there are also a fair amount of crossover with some of our previous contributors and their lists. So without further ado, without messing up too much. All right. Going smooth here. So we're going to get started with number 20. Now, by the way, Lauren has a little bit of an idea of some of the games on the list, but not necessarily maybe where they are. She was a little nervous about talking, but these are all games that she likes too, so she'll be fine. All right, so number 20 is a very puzzly spatial game with polyomino type buildings and management of your tiny little space, your tiny space in your tiny town. So Tiny Towns is my numero 20, right? 20. And it was number 17 last year. So it looks like a little bit of a slip, but not significant enough that I'm worried about it. If you've never played Tiny Towns before, it is a great little puzzle game where you're basically trying to build your own tiny town, for lack of a better term. And to do so, you're going to be putting these different sort of resources out on your little 4x4 grid here, trying to build buildings that match up to these certain polyomino arrangements of said resources. But so the cool thing and the sort of mind melt kind of thing of this is that you have to sort of visualize where these buildings are going to go in your grid to fit properly with the resources that go there to build them, but also in a beneficial way for scoring purposes, right? Because all the buildings do different things. And there's a lot of different setup as to which one, so for example, like the church-looking RNG building is not going to be the same building in every game that you play. Every card is going to be a little bit different as well. The True Testament, by the way, designer Peter McFerrin from Gong Studios, AG put this one out in 2019. We do have one or two expansions for this. The way that I know this is a good game and a favorite of mine is that And you can see from this picture here. This picture of me on the right
is that the first time you
first.
played?
Yep.
I was
my first play of this game, where I scored a whopping 0 points. 0 points because you get negative points at the end of the game.
Which is why I was surprised you actually liked it and continued to play it, but struggled with it for a while. But I know you said it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it's difficult because you can kind of paint yourself in a corner.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're like, oh, I'm going to build all these buildings, then you have a bunch of empty random spots that you can't put resources in.
Yeah.
And you can't build anything.
For sure. Puzzly fun, little stressful. But yeah, like I said, if I didn't do well the first time and I want to play it again, that is a testament to a really good game. And like I said, lots of replayability because the buildings all have different cards that are associated with them each game. The expansions add even more of those cards. And it's not just like there's 2 or 3, like there's a bunch. And then there's also the Villagers expansion and the what's it, Fortune, I think, has the little treasure chest, which lets you get bonus gold to do extra powers and things like that. But yeah, this is Tiny Towns, my number 20. A great game indeed.
I do like that one.
You like that one too?
I do like that one.
Good. All right. So now how do I get back to oh boy, here we go. No, that's not gonna do it. Oh, I know. I have to close the picture of the game. That's why. Go back here like that. Close that. There we go. Smooth sailing. All right, moving on. Number 19 is Carcassonne. Now, Carcassonne is definitely an OG in terms of games in our personal collection.
Yes.
Right? It's one of them. It's not only an older game published-wise, but it's an older game in our collection. And I'm sure that almost everyone is familiar with how this game works. But if you've never heard of it before, it is a tile-laying game. And that's another genre that definitely gets played a lot in this household. We like that mechanic of laying the tiles. And the first time you play this game, it kind of blows you away because, you know, you say to someone, hey, you want to play a board game? And then there's like no board to play. Well, because you start with an empty space and you build the board with these tiles. You know, what can I say? This is where Meeples first came from. And it was one of the first games that I ever played. Learning how to, you know, sort of manage your limited number of folks to put out there to do their thing. You're going to score points for them being in these castles and on the roads and farmers and all that fun stuff. There are, I can't even fathom at this point to this game or different versions of this game. We do have a few different versions. I do like the OG, but we also have the Ocean, South Seas one,
which plays a little different,
which is different, right? Because you're still putting your meeples out on the board, but it's more of you're getting points by buying stuff from the market, essentially. So you're basically collecting resources with your meeples, fish, shells, and bananas, I think, and then trading those in to purchase these ship tokens that are available that have different point values on them. So it does kind of flip the whole strategy a little bit because you're sort of managing resources as opposed to just trying to get longest things and things like that.
There's another one we have that's a little different. I don't remember which one.
Well, we have the Hunters one, Hunters and Gatherers, and then we also have we have the Winter one as well,
which is probably my favorite.
Why is that one your favorite?
Probably because it was part of our wedding theme. We definitely used that when we were planning our wedding and integrating some board games into our wedding. And also because I think it's pretty. I think it's fun with the snow. I like that one.
Yeah, no, it's very nice looking, and it's cool to get on the table when there is actual snowfall happening outside.
Yeah, we used the inside of the box, like the
insert, the background
that was
images on the insert
back of our table seating chart for the wedding.
Right. Yes.
And then we had giant meeples made as the table numbers.
Yeah, we had wooden meeples with top hats and numbers on them for the table numbers. Yeah, that was a good touch. We even gave away games at our wedding.
We had a board game table.
And at each table of people sitting at one chair, we put something underneath, and that person was able to come up to the table and take a game home. Traveling with Todd says, I just recently got the big box edition of this game. That is definitely a good place to start if you haven't, if you have none of it in your collection yet. because then you kind of get almost everything expansion wise, and you can sort of pick and choose which ones you want to combine, and you can pretty much combine everything. It gets a little hairy, obviously, after a while, but it gives you some options for sure. And yeah, that is my number 19, Carcassonne. Yeah, Chris adding that there are a few versions of that big box now, so even that has more than one version of it out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it is. You know what it is? It's a really old game. There's a ton of expansions, and whenever you get a game that has so many expansions, even if they're modular and you don't have to use them all, you have this crazy, like, you know, cross section of, well, if you're playing with this expansion in this version with this too, then this happens. Or you're not playing with the blah blah blahs. Oh, well, then, you know, take out these tiles or whatever. It gets a little too hairy for me, but big box lets you go, you know, one at a time. That's pretty smooth. All right, so that is my number 19, Carcassonne. Moving on. Next up is number 18. I'm cheating. Look over here at my list. Okay. Number 18 is a game that I'm fairly certain was higher on my list last year, I think. And I also believe it is a game that was on Chris's top 20 last year, but perhaps not this year. And it is another spatial polyomino type of game where you're creating your own area, but this time you get to draw stuff, color stuff in, if you want to use color pencils, which you should when you're playing Cartographers. My number 18, yeah, big drop. All right, this was number 8 for me last year. It's from Thunderworks Games. There are no shortage of extra materials and expansions for this game at this point either, a few of which we have, and I think part of the reason why I was okay with it dropping so much is because I noticed that we have some extra stuff for this game and we don't really use it that much.
We used to play it more often.
We did. And, you know, I mean, that's why you keep track of this stuff, I guess, because, you know, we got a couple of years ago, we got those 3 new maps that they came out with. And I don't know that we might have played one of them one time.
No, we played them a couple times because we did both sides and there's 2 different holes.
Oh, and that chasm one? Yeah, okay, that's a good point. So,
but that was probably in the same night that we were like, hey, flip it over, try it again.
Yes, yeah, you're probably right. But we also have the Heroes expansion, which I think we've played with more so than the other maps. My point is, though, that even more recently they came out with, I think, 3 more map packs. And, you know, I didn't pull the trigger on those because the ones we have don't get played enough to justify it right now. But that does not mean that it is not a great game. Obviously, we do still like it. Yes. It is my number 18. And yes, this is a couple of the large box Kickstarter collector's edition, whatever you want to call it, that came with Heroes and a bunch of the other stuff, as well as a nice cool playmat if you got that part. And it did allow the option of adding on a set of colored pencils, which I decided not to get because we have our own colored pencils. You know, it's cool. It's cool. If you don't own colored pencils, all right, maybe add it on. But yeah, we got plenty of bucks. Yeah, they're not that expensive. And so that's Cartographers. I do like this one again because it takes that thing with tiny towns where you're trying to sort of plan out, you know, where are these areas going to fit? Because you flip over a card, it's going to be a polyomino shape of a type of landscape like forest, and you're going to draw that forest somewhere on your map. Now, it's a lot bigger than tiny towns. You have a lot more flexibility, but you still can get to some points where you don't have a lot of options, especially, and what's interesting about this game is it has these monster attacks that happen. And when those cards come out, you have to give your sheet to the opponent, and they draw this monster, whatever the polyomino shape is, on your map. So they're trying to mess up your stuff. So there's this all of a sudden strategy that comes out where, all right, now I get to mess with my opponent. What's going to do the most damage? What's going to annoy them the most? What kind of funny picture of an obscene gesture or, you know, not safe for work type things could I draw on my opponent's map to make them laugh
favorite part of that
and get mad at the same time.
He always draws some crazy looking monster with either like a weird face or something.
Oh, Tyler, go run for cover, dude. No stream is worth risking your life for tornadoes. So yeah, go get somewhere safe. That's not cool. But yeah, Cartographers lets you mess around a little bit, and it is a game that we have played several times remotely.
Yes.
With friends, because you really just need to have a sheet and some pencils.
Yeah.
You don't even really have to have the cards. You can just show them. I mean, it's nice to have the cards, but you could probably get away with not doing it if you didn't want to. That is Cartographers, my number, what did I say? 18?
18.
Number 18. All right. We're doing good. We're doing good. Number 17 is a game that, I guess you're going to notice a pattern here. Another very spatial thing, which I guess I love. I mean, apparently I do. This one is another beautiful looking game that can be a little constricting in terms of where you're allowed to place things or do things when it's your turn. But boy, does it look nice. I'm trying to guess what you're talking about. When it's done, it's another one that we have played remotely. It's a little tedious to play remotely, but we've certainly done it before.
Santa Monica?
No, it is not Santa Monica.
No, that's not.
But we have played that remotely.
Yeah, because the only reason I thought tedious is because that you have to count the cards.
Well, that's true. We played this with Steve and Mariella, where we had to then name all the dice that came out and say,
"Oh, that's right." I'm taking this.
Two red twos and then
I was looking at that before and said, "I wonder if that's on his list."
Yeah,
we haven't played that in a while either.
We haven't played this in a while, but I gotta say, when we first started to play this game, it got played a lot. Like quickly. It got to it came to the table and it stuck around for a very long time. And this is another one that has a pretty decent amount of expansions that we don't even own, and I'm okay with that. This base game really does have a good, to me, good enough gameplay.
For sure.
Sagrada is all about building these beautiful stained glass windows. And so you have this sort of stained glass section of your board, your personal board, and you'll be putting dice in these different squares. Now, some of them have specific color requirements that they have to be. This must be a green die. Some of them might have some specific number requirements. This must be a 4. The tricky part comes in that you can't have 2 dice of the same color or number adjacent to each other orthogonally. So again, this is sort of, this is so pretty. Look at those cool dice. And then it's like, hey, by the way, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Ugh. Now, there are
another paint yourself in a corner kind of thing.
Yeah, literally with stained glass yourself into a corner. Because you will miss those dice that you do not get to place. I will say there's these tools that are available to use during the game that will let you sort of break the dice placement rules or change the dice in some way or change the way you draft a little bit to sort of ease up on that painting into a corner thing, but it certainly doesn't solve all the problems. It is a game where it's almost, maybe it's just us or maybe just me, but even though I've played a bunch of times, I still sometimes forget about that. And 3 turns later, I'm like, oh crap, this can't go here. Like, what am I supposed to do now?
Yes, we've definitely.
And we're trying to like work backwards and unpaint ourselves out. But Sagrada is beautiful. If you've never played this game before, definitely check it out. Like I said, a few expansions are out there as well. And most recently, the Artisans version was released, which is basically Sagrada Legacy, I guess you would call it.
Oh, okay.
I haven't played it, but it has this sort of, I think, sort of book that you go through that changes things. I don't really know much about it. Let's see what some folks are saying about Sagrada. Danielle was excited to see it as well. Todd as well. And Arwen says Sagrada was always a great game. Loved it even better with the Legacy version that is color vision friendly. A lovely puzzle. That would be very beneficial. Chris messed up his first play of this so badly. Never again. Come on, man. I got 0 points in Tiny Towns and it made my top 20. You got to give Sagrada a shot, man. Without spoiling anything, Arwen, can you maybe tell us like one thing that Artisans does? Oh, I know you played it as well. Only did one sheet so far. I see. So I think it's a book of maps or a book of windows that'll have probably different.
I just won't mess up the rules again.
Yeah, don't mess up the rules, Chris. I don't think I played a game of Sagrada without backtracking because of invalid play. Yeah, I don't know why it happens. It seems so simple, right? I mean, it's.
Well, because you're trying, I think, this is just my thoughts. You're trying to remember so many things. Like, this has to be by this, and this has to be by that. And then you also have to remember that these colors and numbers can't go near each other.
Right. Well,
while trying to match other, like what you're trying to build.
Right. Which I'd failed to mention. There's scoring that you're trying to get, right? For one thing, you get a basically like a secret color at the start of the game that's your color, and at the end of the game you'll score as many pips of that color dice that you have completed in your window. And then there's these other sort of objectives that show you different ways to score points, like having a row of all different colors or all different numbers or things like that. Sometimes, what did Danielle say? I don't even realize I made a mistake until the end. Yeah, same. It's been sometimes lots and lots of turns before we figured that part out. But Sagrada, yes, a very gorgeous looking game. And I kind of want to play it now. Floodgate Games, 2017. Overall, we were late to the party at Sagrada. I don't remember the first time we played it, but it was certainly after the pandemic. Don't you think?
No.
No? I think so.
No, because we played it. Most of the games that we played online that for the first time we played during the pandemic because we weren't seeing our friends.
That's true.
So
that's true. All right. I guess you're right. Oh, look, I put us back up in the box there. I totally forgot we were not on screen. Moving on up or down is what looks like number 16 is a new game to the list.
New to the list. Is it new to our collection?
It is. Well, yeah, it's new to our collection. It's a 2-player only game.
Oh,
you have an idea?
Is it Patchwork?
It is not Patchwork. It is not Patchwork. It is a 2-player version of a game that we also own that I think is not as good as the 2-player version that we now have. It is Splendor Duel. Splendor Duel. I did not think that we needed a 2-player version of the game Splendor. But boy, oh boy. I won't play regular Splendor with just the two of us anymore.
Yeah, no.
After this is a game changer for me. This took the basics of in that you're collecting different card gems to purchase cards that are going to be points, but instead of just taking it from a pile and general supply, in this 2-player duel version, you've got the center board. This grid was a 5x5, I think, that you set all the gems on in the beginning, and when it's your turn, you pick from that in a row or column that's 3 uninterrupted gems, and I think if they're all different, you can take all 3. If 2 of them are the same, you can only take 2. I'm horribly messing up those rules, but the board really comes into play when it's your turn to choose, because choices you make are going to affect the choices that your opponent is going to make. Much more than in regular Splendor, where the worst that could happen was, there's no more greens left. I have to wait a couple of turns till somebody cashes them in to buy them. This also introduces these privilege tokens, which lets you do extra things. And at some point, you're going to want to refill that board because there's no options left or nothing that you like. And you can, but you're going to give your opponent one of those privilege tokens, which gives them an advantage as well. You're not just pulling the cards from the rows. There's some that have special abilities on them instead of just points that let you do other things with the tokens as well. And yeah, I was very impressed with this game. Obviously, it's new to the list, and yeah, I'm a fan of the 2-player only games. I know Chris is as well, and this one is definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. Todd, you don't have to be sad about that. There's so many games out there. it's impossible to play them all. But if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, you could probably check it out online. BGA, I think, has Splendor. And if you are into 2-player games, I would skip right to Splendor Duel because of that reason. It definitely changes up things. Here, Chris is gonna clarify some rules that I messed up. You can take 2 of any color, but you can't take 2 of the pearl. Exactly right. That's if there's 2 pearls, you can't take both of those. And then you can draw a row with 3 that has 2 blues. Correct. Got it. That is Splendor Duel.
I like that one.
Number 16. You like that one too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You agree about not really wanting to play other Splendor anymore, unless it was with 3 or 4 people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. It's good. We're going good. Good. All right, moving on. Next up, we're going to number 15. Guess what? Number 15 has a lot in common with number 16. In that it is a 2-player only game. It is a 2-player only version of another game that we also own, just like we own regular Splendor.
I'm lost.
Yeah. I think I might like this one more than you. But that doesn't mean that you should remember what it is. This is Tokaido Duo. Not to be confused with Duel. Yeah, I know. I didn't say you didn't like it. I said I think I like it better than you.
No,
This is new to the list. Tokaido, regular old Tokaido, is a very chill, laid-back game where you're really just sort of moving down this path, visiting these different spots, trying to have a great trip over 4 days. You're going to be collecting souvenirs and dining out and painting pictures and meeting villagers and things like that along the way. I love Tokaido, and it's a beautiful game.
We play that on the phone, like the
yeah, we do have the digital version of that, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. And if they made the Duel one, I would definitely get that too.
Oh yeah, I don't know if they have that. I haven't looked.
Probably not yet. But again, with original Tokaido, 2 players you can play. It's better with more players, just because of the spaces that you're going to. But yes, Chris, Tokaido Duo has more gameplay, more strategy, just like Splendor Duel has versus regular Splendor. In Tokaido Duo, you are controlling 3 different people. There's an artist, there's a merchant, and a pilgrim, I believe. So you're going to be moving them around this board, which I should show everybody because we do have pictures of it. All right. And so each pawn can move in a different way. The merchant is going to be moving through the town, picking stuff up at other stops. The pilgrim is going to be going around the entire island, trying to visit shrines and things like that. And then you've got the artist who is going to certain spots that are scenic where they want to paint pictures and then later gift them to people, which is how you get points. So it's cool because you're managing all 3 of these boards in different ways, and you're moving your pieces in different ways. So there's this it has almost Targi kind of feel to it, where you can sort of block where someone might want to go.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, there's always options. There's always options, but they might be less ideal.
You always seem to go where I want to go.
Well, that's just because, so I'm just trying to win. Play to win. Play to win. You play to win the game and to have fun.
And to be nice to your wife.
And to be nice to your wife. But yeah, I really like how they all score differently, and they go on this sort of grading levels depending on how many of each one you have. Painting a gift, for example, the points you're going to get, the more shrines you visit, the more gardens, whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
I forget, but
I
yes.
do like this one. I definitely like this more than regular Tokaido, especially because a lot of times when we play a game, it's something we want to play semi-quickly because it's usually later at night.
Sure.
Once we get everyone in bed, and then also it's just the 2 of us. So sometimes when you play games that typically play more people, playing with 2 people is not as fun. Or changes, the gameplay and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, this one's, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes playtime. I forget what it says in the box, but
no, that's quick.
Not very long. Not very long. Yeah, I recommend this for anyone who likes that 2-player, sort of strategy type game. You don't necessarily have to like Tokaido to play this game.
No, it plays differently.
It plays differently. It could be a different game. It could be a different skin altogether.
Yeah.
But it does have similarities for sure.
Tokaido-esque.
Tokaido-esque. Yeah, love it. So that is another new one to the list.
Okay.
From, I should say, Antoine Bauza, one of my favorite designers, out in 2022. I didn't even know that game came out. I saw it at PAX, this last PAX, and thought it had just come out, but it had actually come out a couple years prior to that. I had no idea. No idea. Pleasant surprise. Number 14. I believe is also new to the list. It is another spatially centered abstract sort of game. It's another beautiful looking game out on the table. It is a good introductory family weight game to introduce new players to the hobby. In fact, if you remember way back when we went to the Verona Board Game Club, and that was the first game that we had set up to teach. Azul.
Yes,
That's
finally
correct.
right.
You got one.
Oh, the one at the library.
And we got a crossover with our head conductor, Chris. This was his number 10. New to the list for me, number 14. And yeah, for all the reasons I just mentioned,
Azul is very pretty.
A very pretty looking game, and nice chunky pieces that clack together. It has this candy-like look to it. In fact, there even is a chocolatier version of this game that adds a couple different things going on there. And I don't know if you saw, Chris brought his travel version to the brewery the other night.
Oh, I did.
I
did see. Big. I did. He was holding the back.
And has a cool inset in it, so your tiles are all over the place.
Oh, nice.
But any good games yet, Brian? What do you think? This is a top 20 bad games list? Come on, man. A ton of good games. I'm talking Azul right now. Very family friendly introductory game.
Yeah.
And you even have the option.
My mom to play it.
Your mom played this. Holly has played this with us.
Mm-hmm.
She likes it a lot. And to use her as an example, our friend and neighbor Holly plays games with us very often, but she is not typically a fan of those types of spatial puzzly type games. They're just not her thing. They overwhelm her a little bit. But she loves Azul, so it's something about it kind of breaks that mold, and it's a very welcoming game.
Mm-hmm.
There are a ton of other versions of it. I think 4 or 5 at this point. I've played, I think, maybe 2 of the other ones. I don't just always come back to this. It's not a game that I find I need to go out and buy.
Do we only have one?
Different versions. We only have the original base Azul. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's a bunch of other ones.
I
know. Azul Mini is honestly all I need for OG Azul. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's a smaller footprint for sure. Brian Chandler loves Azul. Of course he does. He's got good taste, just like all of us. Azul, I think last year when I made the list, and I also didn't do it this year, which I should have, and I know Chris does, go all the way out to 50, number 50, because it's new to the list this year. It had to be in the top 50 last year, I think, because it's not like it's a new game to us.
No.
We've had it for a long time.
Yeah, it probably would.
Summer Pavilion is Brian likes Summer Pavilion as well. I think we played. I want to say we played another one at a cafe.
At a board game cafe, yeah.
And
I don't remember which.
I didn't dislike it, but again, for me personally, I don't need other ones of that. All right, so that's number 14.
Okay. And I finally guessed one.
You guessed one right. So you're 1 for 14, whatever. Well, listen.
There's
you could have
only 7 of them.
Huh? Well, yeah, thanks. 7. You could have tried to guess.
I could have.
You could have tried to put a list together before we did this. Not in necessarily order, but how many were on the list.
Oh yeah, I could have. Unfortunately, life got busy.
Yeah, that will happen. Miriam chiming in here saying, agree, Azul is just lovely. Just enough interaction, maybe a little mean for sure, and easy to get to the table and beautiful.
Yes.
It could be a little mean because and with that, it can be very strategic. Because if you look at what your opponents are building in their board, it might affect how you draft tiles, right? You can be like, I don't want you to complete that row. I want you to have that hole in the next round. So I'm going to take that. You can even take things that don't necessarily fit in your board. You're going to end up kind of losing some points for them, but if you that badly didn't want your opponents to have it, you can start to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Well. So, yeah, a lot going on in Azul. It's a real looker. All right, moving on. Number 13 is new to the list.
Okay.
I've talked about it a lot on this channel. Again, it is a 2-player. Technically, it can play up to 4. And in fact, the first time we ever played this game, we actually did play it with 4. The version we have now, we have only played with the 2 of us.
So confused.
It involves rolling a lot of dice. And trying to do the most damage to your opponent until you knock them all the way down to 0 health. And you get to do it with your favorite Marvel characters.
Oh, Dice Throne.
Marvel Dice Throne.
Yes.
So I don't know if you recall, but the first time we played regular Dice Throne before the Marvel one was even out, we played with Steve and Mariella here.
Yes.
And we played basically 2-on-2. And we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really liked the game a lot to the point where it was on my wish list for a while. And then when the Marvel one came out, I was like, that's what I'm getting. I'm going to jump it on Dice Throne now, and I'm going to get a good Marvel game into my collection. And I'm a fan of everything about the game so far. The presentation is awesome. The components are great.
We have a couple.
We've got we do have a couple. We have the box that came with the 4, and then 2 sets of 2. There is also this box that's in the picture here is a box of all 8, I believe, together. There recently was a Kickstarter which added in a couple of really cool things. It added in the X-Men, which is awesome, and it added this sort of cooperative mode, campaign-y type thing as well, where you're going to work together to defeat a big bad. I did not back it for our collective wallets' sake. Just letting you know that it was.
However, you wanted to.
Well, yes. However, I did want to, and you know what? Someday it'll come to retail, and we'll be able to put it on a Christmas list, and somebody will get it for us, and we'll be able to play.
We get a lot of our games for holidays, birthdays.
Dice Throne. Dice Throne. Easy to set up. Yep. Character box, and it's cool. And I mean, man, it's a little bit of a price, but you're getting a lot in those boxes. You get a nice insert, plastic top with your character's board that unfolds, custom dice, different cards, little tokens that do different things depending on who the hero is that you're playing. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Teach me your ways. I buy every Marvel Champions pack by half of them not at the table. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. Just say no to games.
Well, we also have extra people that ask for our Christmas list because my parents are divorced. So it's my dad wants a list, my mom wants a list, his parents want a list. So
yeah, it works out well. And then of course you have games that we get for Christmas or whatever list, and then
we get them for each other too. So.
Don't get played or are still in shrink. So that happens also.
Yeah, we have that too.
Danielle agrees it is definitely worth the price. Yeah, I think so for sure. So that's Dice Throne, a very cool one-on-one, usually battling game where you're rolling dice. It's basically like Yahtzee, because your board has all these powers and these attacks that you can do when it's your turn with the different combinations of symbols. So you roll 5 dice and say, what am I starting with here? Oh, I almost have that power. If I get that one more die, I'm going to roll these three and you roll them. And they're trying to get these different combinations. You're not going to get through all the cards in your deck. You're not going to fire off every power that you have. It's not going to happen. And that's what I like about this game.
Forget it.
It doesn't seem, it's not samey for me anyway yet. And that's with, a good amount of plays. And then there's that ultimate move you can pull off, the Yahtzee, which usually does the most damage. And that
you should get AJ to play that, see how it goes.
Yeah. AJ does like Yahtzee. This might be
he always gets Yahtzee.
He does, yes.
Well, AJ, he would need one of us to assist him for sure.
Well, yeah. Our son is 5, and he's definitely a gamer so far, but
especially if dice are involved.
Yeah.
He loves to roll dice.
Yeah.
Our daughter does not have the patience yet, but she's only 3, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, we got some time. Cool. That is number 13.
All right.
Number 12. Number 12 is a game that is highly push your luck. It is a game that I know is a crossover pick with at least 2 other people. It's definitely a game that you like. It is a game that can be played remotely that we have played before. And it's a push your luck bag building game where you're trying to make some potions.
Oh!
And not blow yourself up.
Don't blow yourself
in
up.
The process. Yeah, don't blow yourself up.
Don't what it's called.
Don't blow up daddy.
Quacks. I love Quacks.
Yes, new to the list. Chris is number
new to your list.
3. Yeah. Again, I think it might have been, in the 20s somewhere last year, perhaps, because we definitely had one for longer than that. But man, what a great time! Quacks of Quedlinberg.
I love that game.
You're basically this this cauldron in front of you, and all these different recipes and these crazy ingredients that you're going to get added to your bag that are worth different, move different spaces in the cauldron. Some of them do for different things, but you always run this risk of blowing your cauldron up and putting a cherry bomb in it. So it's this very tense, like everybody's got the hand in their bag and they look around and like, and it's like, should I pull more? I know I've got 2 really great tokens in there somewhere. What are the odds? And Chris is notorious for losing this game many, many, many times. Yes, it does kind of sound like Potion Explosion, Danielle. It is the same. Hi, Dan. Good to see you, buddy. We're talking Quacks of Quedlinberg right here. I was going to say, expansions. There are expansions for this game as well that add more ingredients and different ways to mitigate some of your cooking there. Yes, you won once. You did one. And nobody can take that away from you.
Never take it away.
Brian, it is possible that there's wonky audio going on because it is my house and not the main studio, as it were. And I'm using a lapel mic that is clamped to a small dice tower right in front of us here. So that could be what it is that you're hearing. Plus, I'm talking a lot and I get a very bad cotton mouth when I talk a lot. I apologize. You probably hear like a gross tapping thing. I hate it. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm supposed to talk. I typically talk a lot. But,
that's true.
I do. That's true. Typically talk way more than you. But yes, if you ever want me to shut up, just put a camera in front of me.
Lauren always wants to talk to me in the car, and I never want to talk in the car.
He does not talk in
whether I'm driving or not. I'm not a car talker.
I'm pretty sure I give this back to when you were a child, because you were an only child, so nobody really talked to you when you were little, so you just don't talk in the car. That's just my analysis of it.
Yep, you might be right.
But I talk a lot. And yeah, that's probably one of the big, even when I'm in the car by myself, I'm probably on the phone with one of 4 people.
Oh, totally.
Even if I'm going wrong.
I always know when Lauren's going from work because she's on the phone. I hear you in your car on the phone, or coming through the garage and on your phone.
Yeah. Although I've been listening to a podcast lately, so I haven't been on the phone as much. So yeah, I've been listening to that.
But anyway, that's my number 12, The Quacks of Quedlinberg, a fantastic push-your-luck game by Wolfgang Warsch. It came out in 2018.
Let's play that this weekend.
Let's do it.
In a while.
You're right. Now, we are getting to number 11, which will mark the halfway point of the list. Fantastic news. Number 11 here is a game that we have played about 12 times. And no, it ain't up there.
Well, not anymore.
It's a cooperative game that has variable player powers and an ever-changing board because it is a legacy game. This is Pandemic Legacy.
That's the first one.
Season 1. Now, there's going to be no spoilers in these here pictures. All you have here is what's from the publisher website. You get a sheet full of stickers, a bunch of envelopes that you're not supposed to open until you're told, a bunch of cards, and a board. And, this was such a cool experience playing this game, the three of us. It's this story-based thing where you're trying to save the world and all this crazy stuff is going to happen and everyone's game is going to play out differently. That's such the coolest thing. And there were so many points in playing this where we stopped and we're like, how did this get made? Like, this is an amazing concept. I won't say too much about the gameplay, obviously, because it is a legacy game and there are spoilers about, but it's really fun.
Yes, it is. I just got a text from Holly, so I think she's watching because she said pandemic arg. Yeah. We played that together. That was our Sunday night. That's kind of, I think, how our Sunday nights began.
Yeah, maybe.
We got that for a holiday and we're like, all right, we have to play this once a week, so let's pick a night.
Yeah. It has this mechanism where, and again, this is not really giving anything away, but you basically play through a calendar year. That's the scenario. So you play in January. You essentially have 2 shots at winning each month. And even if you don't, it's going to push you to the next month anyway. So you're going to get through the story. You don't have to win to get through the story. You're going to get through the story, and then at the very end of the game, sort of measure up how you did. And we did not do well. I'll say that. But boy, was it fun.
It was fun. Although it was frustrating at times.
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
There were some, beeps and such.
Well, look, Base Pandemic is a great cooperative introductory game, and it can be tough. And I like that about co-ops. I don't want to always win, for sure. I will say, no.
No, I don't.
I will say we started to play season 2, and we stopped. I don't know how far we got. It wasn't as fun for us. It was a little more punishing, I feel like, and we never got into the same sort of groove as we did with season 1. We may revisit it at some point, who knows. But I've also heard that season 0 is excellent, and it seems like a lot of folks like it better than season 2, which is season 0 is a prequel. Basically. It takes place before. Yeah, same, Chris. Season 0, interesting. I think it would be interesting to see how season 0 plays out. So who knows? Maybe someday. But that is my Pandemic Legacy season 1. So we're halfway through, and so far, good. More comments from
Holly said the pandemic made her a board game lover for sure. There you go. And now we play more often than we used to, I would say, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. For sure.
How many times can we say for sure in one sentence?
For sure. Definitely for sure. All right. Number 10. Let me see what we got over here. Number 10 is a game that was definitely on last year's list. It is not a 2-player only game, although we do play it 2-player pretty often.
Okay.
It can be kind of mean. It does involve eliminating your opponent's pieces at certain times, usually with some pretty fun sound effects to make when doing so.
You're blowing things up?
Well,
I can't remember what game, but I'm pretty sure it's one that you always go.
Yeah. Well, think about what are some things that make that sound in nature?
Bombs.
Yeah, but naturally occurring.
Volcano.
Yeah. So there you go, volcano. The downfall of Pompeii.
Why did I not think of that? You take my little person, you're like,
hey, throw them in the.
I love Pompeii.
Yeah,
I love Pompeii.
Pompeii is a great game. Eric introduced me to this game many years ago, and I was surprised that you liked it as much as you did. And it got a lot of plays. You moved up a little bit from last year, a few spots. This is kind of like it's almost like a game in 2 parts.
Yes.
Because in the beginning of the game, you're just sort of populating Pompeii with your play pieces. And at some point in the game, one of these omen cards comes, which is basically saying, hey, the volcano's rumbling. You don't have long before the eruption happens. And then the game changes in the middle, and now it's get out of Pompeii. And so that's how you score points, is you get a point for every one of your pieces that manages to escape the board. But let me backtrack, because the cool thing about the way you put people on the board is if you play your cards right, literally, you will get the chance to fill up these buildings with as many pawns as possible, because when it comes time to start running, the movement that your piece can do is based on how many pawns are in that square at that moment. So if there's 4 there and you're moving from it, you can move 4 spaces away. So it also becomes the strategy of, all right, I'm going to put these 2 pieces over here, and now next time that one moves, because there's 3 here, it's going to move 3. It's going to be out the door. Fantastic. It's a riot. And when the volcano starts to erupt, you add this pulling tiles from that phase to the game that starts to cover up the squares of Pompeii with lava. So now the board is just shrinking and becoming, crowded with liquid hot magma, and you're trying to run away. And it's just, oh man, it's such a good time. If your player gets completely surrounded by lava, they're automatically dead. If you happen to place a tile on the space that they're at, there could be 3 people there, 4 people there. Hey, I mean, one of them might even be yours, but if it's it's like 3-to-1 trade-off, go for it. And then at the end of the game, you basically count how many people you got out safely. That's how you win. If there's a tie, I think it's the least amount of people who die in the volcano, I believe, is the winner.
I think so.
I've seen some people play this game with they put a little tea-like candle in the volcano, and so it kind of like flickers and stuff like that.
Nice.
So yeah, this is, I don't know, a bit of a hidden gem. I think this flew under a lot of people's radar. So I like to champion this one. It's just a lot of fun. We've had really good times with the fall of Pompeii. There are times with people who are actually represented in the game. Because of the whole volcano thing.
Yes. No, I get it. Okay. I get it.
Yeah. Let's see my list here. I'm looking backwards. All right. Number 9 is a game that you guessed previously for another spot. And it's another 2-player only game.
Is it up there?
Is it up where? It is.
Patchwork.
It is Patchwork. It is Patchworks. Ryan's number 15, down a couple spots for me, but That doesn't mean I don't like it. It's number 9. Boy, did you play this game before?
Yes, especially this is probably one of AJ's favorite, like, his games, like, one that belongs to us that he likes to play. And I hate to admit this out loud, especially with people watching, but I don't think I've ever beat him. He, like, annihilates me playing Patchwork, and I'm usually pretty good at the game. I would like to.
He plays very haphazardly, right? And so we're looking at what the pieces are that are available, and he's just like, oh, I can afford that. I'm gonna take it, and just puts it in where he wants on his board. Patchwork is just that you're building a patchwork quilt in front of you, again, using domino shaped tiles that cost different amounts of buttons. You pay for them. And you're also going to have a time value attached to each tile. So you place it in your quilt, you move your piece that many spaces around the time track, which is essentially how the game is going to end. So we're busy looking at how does this piece fit in, or how can I get that sweet 7x7 bonus point thing, and we're wasting time with that. AJ just I'm going to put that there and put that there. It's like, oh, but you might get you don't. Okay,
you don't care.
Okay. And look, it does. It works. Sometimes it doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work.
It works against you pretty often.
Well, because I always try to make that nice little corner.
Yeah.
And get the 7x7, and sometimes it doesn't work out because I'm trying to do that, and then when there's less pieces left, you kind of have to go outside of the box.
Yeah.
But when you go outside of that box, I feel like it leaves me, or even when I try to make that neat corner, it leaves me with more empty spaces at the end.
Yeah.
Because more things won't fit to fill in those blanks. So, and the empty spaces are what, 2 points? Negative 2 points?
-2. Yeah. This is a game where you will very, very often have negative points as total. And win with negative points.
But the one thing I do like about this, especially playing with a toddler, is he kind of learns that you can't, like, it's not just your turn, my turn, your turn, then my turn. If I don't go far enough,
right,
like, he has to wait.
Right, that's what Brian's bringing up here. The frog turn taking of this game is very neat. And I just remember that Tokaido, not the Duel one, also has that sort of something. As farthest person back gets to go still. So you can get to a point where you might get 2 or 3 turns in a row, and really, all of a sudden take away those empty squares that you had going on there. Patchwork 2-player game, you've got
3
many versions of it, and there's even a few that we don't have, I think. Ironically, we don't own the original.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Seriously?
Seriously, yeah, we don't. We have, to me, so
favorite.
There's Halloween, there's Christmas, there's Valentine's Day, and then there's the Americana. So in my justification, the Americana, we don't need the original because of that.
Right.
I know that really doesn't make any sense. But that's my own justification.
We also have the drawing one.
Yeah.
You don't really like that one. I like that one, but
it's a different game. It's a different game. But no, it's a very different game. You're not tracing anything.
No.
You're just drawing stuff. Yeah, the Halloween version did change the some of the tiles to balance it better. So that probably is the best one to play. It's really a preference of artwork. I like them all. The Halloween one is pretty cool though, because instead of buttons, there's eyeballs.
Yeah, but we usually only play that in the fall.
Yeah, well, listen, that's why I'll never stop buying new versions of this game, because it's a favorite of ours, and so if we have an excuse to play it at all different times of the year, we're going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Patchwork by Uwe Rosenberg. My number 9. Number 8 is Roll and Write.
Okay.
Ooh, was the first Roll and Write on the list?
I think so, which I'm surprised at, because we like.
Yeah, Cartographers are flipping right, but yeah.
Flipping and rolling is different.
Yeah. All right, so number 8 is Roll and Write, that I know you like. Now I think, see, we're getting to the top 8. I think you're going to start to guess some more of these than maybe towards the bottom of the list. What do you think? Maybe.
I hope so.
It's all right about gardening.
All right, about gardening. Three Sisters?
Three Sisters has to be on the list, says Chris. He's correct. It is on the list. New to the list. Mostly because I don't think it was last time. This is from Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle, who is a design duo that we enjoy quite a bit. Got Fleet the Dice game from them as well. Motor City, which we were kind of lukewarm on. The newest one, French Quarter, which I really did enjoy, and want to play that one again.
Makes me feel old.
Why?
Why does French Quarter make me feel old? I had to break out my glasses.
Oh, you're not the only. Everybody complained about the graphic design of those sheets. For various reasons.
So hard.
Yeah, it's a little rough. It was a little rough, but I really do like the theme of that one. I like the different streets that you can kind of like focus on.
I like the theme behind it.
But that's not on the list. Three Sisters is on the list, and Three Sisters is basically about trying to plant a successful garden. The concept of Three Sisters is a Native American planting technique, so to speak, of planting squash, pumpkins together with corn and beans, and they all three sort of benefited in different ways.
I tried that one year, actually, in the garden.
Yeah, we did. It was okay. I don't think we did it correctly. Surprising no one, but oh, hey Todd, those two guys are native to Michigan. Yeah, Detroit City and Motor City Game Works. Very cool. So in Three Sisters, you've got a lot of options here because not only are you filling in this left sheet, which is where those crops are growing, you also have a special perennial flower track that you can use. You have a shed that has all kinds of cool things you can, procure and build and get points in all these different ways. There's an orchard for tree and an apiary for some bees. And there is so much to explore on the two sheets that it's really, yes, and it doesn't feel the same. I don't feel like I'm doing the same thing every time.
Oh no, not at all.
Not
at all. I agree.
Yeah, Chris chiming in here that he thinks out of the 4 major roll and writes from them, that Three Sisters is the best so far.
But Fleet for me, like I love Fleet.
Yeah,
so do I. I actually played it on your phone this morning.
You did?
Yeah.
Who told you to use my phone? Where was I?
Sleeping.
Wow.
When I took yours. Play a game while I was on the heating pad.
Man, I feel violated now. Three Sisters. I mean, if you're not familiar with any roll and writes, this is a heavier one for sure. We have a ton of different lighter ones in our collection as well, which I do like. But this is a nice meaty one, and it gives you, I think it gives you a very satisfactory feel when you pull off some, combos, or when if you've built something in the shed that finally comes to fruition and benefits you in the way that it was supposed to, and sort of varying your strategy about where you kind of want to concentrate, for sure.
Oh, we should do that.
What's that?
Okay, Traveling with Todd.
Traveling with Todd said, I printed out the sheet quarter on 8x11. That's smart.
We should do that.
That is smart. Much bigger. Me. Yeah. We have we do have a binder of a few sheets for other roll and write games.
We started that during the pandemic.
Yeah, that was
getting sheets from people and playing online.
Yep, totally. So yeah, I do like all the games that these guys put out, and I don't see a reason why I won't stop at least trying each new iteration of their limited roll and writes that they like to do as well. Hi, Rachel. Yes, thanks. Don't forget to like the stream. Give it a thumbs up, will you? And if for some reason you're not subscribed to the Tabletop Express on YouTube, you should probably go ahead and do that now. Plus, join the Discord. Because don't forget, Make your voice heard by submitting your own top 20 and being part of the People's Choice list next week. Danielle adding that before she calls any of her roll and writes, she usually does take a sheet from the game and laminate it so she can still play it with her own dice and find the rules online. I like the way you think. Three Sisters, number 8. Lucky number 7 is next. However, you are often not lucky in the game. I will tell you that much. We often hear people talk about Catan as the relationship killer game, and we have witnessed some tense moments in Catan. The number 7 is not Catan.
No.
But in a similar vein, if you want to break the ice with some family or in-laws or something like that, and you just want to go get into it, right? Make some decisions. Go ahead and play this game because you're gonna very quickly learn who is sort of on whose side. Eric has played this with his parents, I believe, and don't remember this story either. Okay.
Did I hear that?
Well, there's a lot of death in this game. Survive. Oh, yes. Escape from Atlantis. An older game at this point.
I do like this.
From 82.
We played this with
Yeah. Survive is, all about that. You're trying to get your meeples off of the island that is starting to fall apart and sink. And so at the very beginning of the game, you're going to build this island pretty randomly with these different hexagon-shaped tiles that are your beach, forest, or mountain terrain. And then everyone's going to start putting their meeples out on different parts of the island. Mm-hmm. Now, your meeples underneath have a point value to them. You get a 1, 6, 1, 5, 4s, a couple 3s, etc., down to 1. And so you are strategically placing them out in the beginning of the game, but after that, you're not allowed to look at them anymore. No. Even if you get them off the island, you got to wait till end game to flip them over to see how many points you got.
See who made it and who didn't.
But it is hard to get them off of the island. You have to get on a boat. You have to successfully navigate that boat through the waters to one of the 4, corners of the board and get off the boat.
And stay away from Anthony.
And stay away from
coming from you.
Oh, yeah, coming for everybody. It's called Survive. It's called Survive. Only one person can win. Only one person can win.
True.
But there are a ton of cool sea creature little tokens and wooden pieces in this game. There's the sea monsters, sea dragons. There's whales. There's squid. We have that expansion with the dolphins and sharks and all that stuff. And man, yeah, this game, it escalates quickly. I'll say before you know it, you got a bunch of people that are in the water trying to move one space at a time away from a shark, and then you got the dolphin that can try to kind of help you from the shark, and then sometimes you get these tiles that are like anti-shark guns, or I get to move the sea monster wherever I want, right? Kind of thing. Great game, Survive. So much fun. I will never say no to playing this game.
I was actually curious if this would be on once you put Pompeii there. Because for me, they're a little similar in the way that I don't love games that you're trying to take someone down. But these two, I do. I do really like playing games, although I might get a little cranky sometimes. And
of course.
A little salty and sour, especially when why did you take my person? But yes, it is part of the game, and I do enjoy the game, but I do get grumpy with the game.
Yeah, no, you have to know that
about being nice.
Right? You're all about being nice?
Yes. Not in the game.
Right. Of course. No, listen.
I preach kindness. That's what I do.
You got to survive. Ain't no kindness on the ocean.
No.
All right, so that is a big number 7 here. Survive, Escape from Atlantis. I should go up, I believe, a few spots. I think it was number 11 last year. Yeah. What did Chris say? Oops, sorry about that. Oh, I'm on a little bit of a clicking delay here. I feel like in this game, it's easy to be okay with the take that. Yeah. Look, unless you're teaching the game to people for the first time and you don't tell them how to play the game, yeah, they might be mad. But you must know going in that you're going to lose
I know.
some people.
I just get cranky about
You're going to hurt some feelings.
Yes.
Yeah. Suck it up, Buttercup. All right. Getting near the top 5. Before that, you got to do number 6.
Yes.
Number 6 is a game that you guessed earlier for another spot. It is a game that we play remotely. It is a game that is also a destination.
Santa Monica.
There, Santa Monica is
I like this one.
my number 6.
Like
Up 4 spots. This was number 10 last year. Beautiful looking game, Santa Monica, which you are building in front of you a tableau, essentially, of cards that are making up the sort of boardwalk portion on the bottom, and then the ocean front part on the top. And you're moving different people around your tableau to score points and satisfy scoring conditions. So, for example, there's some cards that have an activity on volleyball, and it might say you have to get 2 locals to this activity ring, and if you do, end of the game, you're going to get X amount of points,
or one of each
person, or what have you. And points for visiting different states, the VIP piece moving around. There is a starting piece that everyone has is a little bit different, and a little bit of a learning curve. Which one in terms of the iconography? There's a bunch of cross referencing what this symbol actually means, but once you get used to it, it's pretty smooth sailing. Because you're going to want to try to chain together, similar spots. Like there's retail spaces, and there's sports spaces and activities and things like that. So sometimes you want to have a chain of them, or you want to have some that are adjacent to other specific ones to get points like that. You have this cool drafting mechanism where you're taking from 4 possible cards, and in front of 2 of the piles, one of them is a food truck and one of them is a food critic or a foodie person. And if you take those cards in front of those things, you can do other stuff as well, like move people around, get an extra card and things like that. So this can be played remotely. Basically, it does, but
it's easy.
It's because of that you can play remotely, because the cards are numbered.
Yes.
So as long as one party has, basically puts their deck in order, if the other party is then putting the cards out on display, you can just look and be like, oh, well, number 16. All right, let me find 16. Here it is. So it's definitely doable.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely doable. It's from Josh Wood, who also designed the most recent Let's Go to Japan that I know Chris likes. I enjoyed that one quite a lot as well. And yeah, I think he likes the destination type of themes or settings for games. Santa Monica, great visual effect too. You really kind of feel that beachiness, I think, when you're playing this one. It's very pretty. And there's an expansion as well. I think that we have the Long Weekend, I believe it's called. All right, so in numbers 20 through 6, there was a bunch of shake-up, a couple things moved up and down. There was a few new to the list items. The top 5, I don't think there was much movement at all from last year's list. As if you know last year's, these are all great games regardless. Number 5 is another co-op that we have played quite a bit. Can also play remotely. There are a few different versions of it now, which we have all of them. And a new one was announced recently. It is only available for pre-order right now. We're not even sure exactly what it's going to entail, but because I like it so much,
I know what it is, and I can't think of the name of it right now.
You can't think of the name.
No, and I know I'm picturing RFI. RFI. I I tell you, it was like, the different monsters, but I couldn't think of the name, but I love Horrified.
Number 5 is Horrified. Yeah, this is a fantastic game. Now,
I like all of them.
I like all of them too. These extra from the original version, which is the Universal Monsters, and you are playing cooperatively to vanquish these different monsters in different ways. So in the first version, you got people like Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, werewolf, and that kind of stuff. And you are going to be a someone who lives in this town who has some kind of special ability. But at the base of it, it's really a collection and like sort of pick up and deliver type of game, because you're just moving to different spots on the map, picking up items from those spots, and using those items in different ways. What I love about the series is that they haven't changed that core mechanic, right? Excuse me. The colors might change, the visuals might change, the backdrop changes, but the core mechanics are the same. Mm-hmm. You're using these items to do different things to defeat these monsters. You've got this version here. Then a couple years later, it came out with the American Monsters version, which is more like local folklore or myth type of stuff, Jersey Devil, Bigfoot, things of that nature. Then most recently, the Green Monsters came out, which I think currently is my favorite of the three, probably because it's the newest one. But I love Greek mythology, so I was very excited to see that was the backdrop for that new version. I'm impressed with how they keep coming up with different things or different ways to defeat the monsters. It's not like they just took how you defeat Dracula and put it on a different monster in the next version, and so on and so on.
It's typical to it matches their story.
Yeah, usually. Yeah, it's thematic. It really is. And what the other thing that I do like about the new one, the Greek one that is new, is that there's these locations that you sort of have to like discover to an extent. You know where they are on the board, but you know which one is where. And a lot of the monsters, you need to find that specific location to do that, sort of final death blow. There's also
I enjoy this game though. So.
Yeah, no, this is always a close one. Sometimes we, get blown out, and sometimes I feel like we win pretty handily. I will say I think the Greek one is a little bit harder than the other two. I feel like because of that other mechanism where you have to sort of unlock these things, it takes a little bit longer and you need a little more amount of items to get that stuff done. Because I like to play with 3 monsters against 3 monsters usually.
Yeah.
But in the Greek one, I think so far we've only done 2.
It's too hard.
And I feel like we've won. I think, I might be like 50-50, I think. Overall. But yeah, I mean, another great family way game. Again, anything cooperative because there's no hidden information here. Everything's public. Your cards can be face up and you just, sorry, I hit the microphone. You're working together to try to make the best of it. If you like Pandemic, this is a shoo-in for you, in my eyes, for sure. And they recently announced a new version.
I don't remember. And
I already forget what it's called. And there's really no information about it yet. So I don't know if it's going to be a combination of the previous games, if it's going to be like maybe some modular expansions. The only thing you can't do yet, I think so.
Because I remember we said list.
Yeah. The only thing we can't do yet is sort of combine, monsters from different games. I'm also curious if that's the way. What's that?
On the chat.
What's that? This?
An expansion that would combine.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. You read my mind. Always add a new version, mix and match. Yeah, for sure. Or even the player characters traveling to different scenes. Yeah, Horrified. Great Halloween time, but any time of year.
Yeah, this is
time for sure. So keep it coming, prosper all. I am down. All right, we're almost done. Number four has definitely been mentioned a few times already. mentioned it. The chat has mentioned it.
My memory is awful because I'm like, I said something.
This is also from the same designers.
Is it Fleet?
As Three Sisters.
Is it Fleet?
It is Fleet, the dice game. Stayed at number 4 from last year as well. Yeah, this was definitely the first, heavier roll and write that we played, and you clicked with it right away.
Yeah.
And for a lot going on. I mean, you're talking about playing a game like Quacks, and then moving on to something like Fleet the Dice Game, where you got these two massive, score sheets and all these icons going on, and it was a little rough waters.
Yes.
Pun intended. Learning this at first, but this had to be up there with our most game.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. In Fleet the Dice Game, you're going to be drafting dice to move along and check off these different tracks, similar to Three Sisters, where you have some stuff on one sheet and some on the other. On one side is all the different types of fish that you're going after, shrimp, lobster, etc. And on the opposite sheet is where you're going to track your income, but also where the wharf is. That has different buildings you can spend, you can build, as well as the harbor, which has some specialized boats and allows you to do some private fishing trips every now and then. And yeah, there was just that feeling of, oh, right, this is rolling now. I've got this engine where every time I launch a boat, I get 3 coins. I get 3 coins and I get a free action. Oh, now I get to do this. Now I built this building. And that's, 4 points. And there's a lot to explore. There really is. I play this also on the app a lot now on my phone, which I think sadly only plays solo mode at the moment. But I
don't have it on my phone, but I do want it now.
Yeah, you stole my phone to play it.
I borrowed.
You are correct, Arwen. It is the best roll and write. I think you might be right. Fleet the Dice Game. Can't say enough good things about it. I've talked about it so many times. I'm not going to belabor it much more, but check it out for sure. I mean, even if you don't like the theme so much of fishing, which is a fine theme, it's just meaty. It's so satisfying.
I don't like
to pull stuff off.
It's not like combos. I love fishing. I love Fleet.
A fan. Danielle says that this was her first roll right that she played when she got to the hobby, besides Yahtzee. Yeah. Oh. And you got to give props to Yahtzee. It's the original rolling right. Mm-hmm. I've never played the original Fleet game, just Fleet. So I don't know how much of that game is similar in the roll and write version, actually. But it is a thing that exists. I know that. Folks, we are getting near the end here. We're at the top 3. I want to thank everyone who has been listening to not just my list tonight, but all of our contributors the last few weeks. And keep it up going tomorrow. Come back tomorrow night for Brian and Arwen's 2020 tomorrow. A double dose of Tabletop Express. And a People's Choice the week after that. A lot of good stuff happening. Todd loves this game too. Thank you, sir. It is a good one. Right, here we go. Number 3. Number 3 is the first Euro game that I was introduced to. And when I first played it, I was overwhelmed. And I didn't really like it that much. But there was a part of me that could not wait to try it again. And that's how I feel with these types of games that are in the genre. I don't always do well the first time, but there's something about it that makes me want to come back. And this particular one came back many, many, many times. You just won. We have a base version and a card version of this game, and it is a classic at this point. The Castle of Burgundy. Was my number 3 last year as well, but check this out. This is now a 4-way crossover. Mr. Al, Danielle, and Chris all have COB on their list. You okay? It's almost over.
No, it's fine. Bad back.
In Castles of Burgundy, you are basically building out your own kind of a land or duchy or whatever they want to call it in the game. And you're going to be doing that by purchasing these different tiles into your matching spots where these are. But boy, there is a decent amount of stuff going on in this game. You are trying to fill up the board if you can, but you're also trying to get the most of the same color first, and you're trying to get similar animals in the same farming area. And there's this sort of elegance about this game that I didn't really expect. I'm only really going to appreciate after playing it for so many times, in that you really can build up this awesome engine where you've got this, this building that's going to give you this every time you do this thing, and XYZ. At the end of the game, you're going to get, 5 points for all these that you have. And it's like, oh, okay. There's some really good combos and some point salad kind of thing that I can get going here. And man, it is just, I don't know, something about this game that I just love. And I love teaching it to new people. I love playing it. We haven't played this one in a while either.
We haven't.
Played the dice game a good amount of times. I don't know if we've actually played the card game version, but we do have it in our collection. But the original is good enough for me. And I don't even have any of there's even expansions for this. I don't have, I think I have a couple of extra boards or something, because you can play the same layout at first with everybody the same sort of map, but you can kind of start to divvy it up a little bit and get some variability there. Mm-hmm. All right. Hopefully, we're still here. Looks like my chat may have frozen a bit. So if I don't get any of your comments now, I apologize. They're not coming up at the moment, but we're just going to plow forward here after that epic crossover at number 3 with Cascadia Burgundy. We're up to number 2. Now, number 2 was at some point number 1, and it is now number 2. I think it was number 2 last year too. So this is probably the game that if I asked you what's my favorite game, you probably would say this game.
Wingspan.
Wingspan is number 2. Elizabeth Hargrave made a fantastic design.
It's beautiful.
That is just breathtaking. Stunning to look at. A worker placement game about birds. That's what it is. And Danielle had this on her list at her number 20 as well. A fantastic design. Everything is unique. And, I need to talk about, there's a game out there for everybody. If you have any kind of other hobby or interest that you like, there's a game for you. And if you're a birder, boy oh boy, this is all you need. And if you're not a birder, it might turn you into a birder, because that's what happens to me to an extent. This game is so smooth and so fun. There's so much going on. Expansions are so many different types of birds. I talked about this game a whole lot over the last few years on this channel and my channel earlier, and I just love it. You're just going to gather resources and different foods to put out these new birds, put them in these different habitats. Each habitat is a little bit different. You can pay extra for going further. You got to use some eggs sometimes, but you want to lay eggs because they get you a ton of points at the end of the game. Some birds are predators, and they're going to eat other birds, in which case you start to tuck them under that bird and get a buttload of points that way as well. The most upgraded building out sort of thing is in my collection in terms of some special tokens and the card holders and the dividers and things like that. Funnily enough, I actually not own the Asia expansion for this game.
That was on your Christmas list, but it didn't come through.
It was. Yeah, I do have to see Wingspan. I do have to see Wingspan, right? You know, I don't know, Brian. Brian's asking what the favorite expansion is. Everything is together. I mix everything up at this point, purposely, because I don't want to separate everything anymore. Stop. 2.5.
Here you go, asking for favorites. He has a hard time with that, which is why I think it's funny that you can do a list.
Why?
Well, because he asked for your favorite, and you have a hard time picking a favorite. If I'm like, oh, what was your favorite part, or what was your favorite ride? He's always like, so besides talking in a car, me asking him what his favorite or what he liked better, this or that, those are probably the least favorite.
I know. I got to play the Asia one because, oh yes, Brian did some work on the Asia version, and it apparently adds a sort of 2-player version that's a little bit different, that some people seem to like more. I'm curious if that's part of the reason why maybe I subconsciously haven't made that much an effort to get it, because I don't want to mess with it too much. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Check it out. You never know. But yeah, Wingspan is great, and for a long time that was, if somebody asked me what my favorite game was, it was that. I haven't got my custom Wingspan shirt on my wrinkled home there. Number one was number one last year, and it is another nature-themed game. Any ideas?
Number one, another nature-themed game. It was number one last year.
It was also number one last year. Yeah, my top 4 did not change from last year. Actually, top 5, I believe, did not change.
I have a guess in my head, but I don't want to say it out loud.
Why? Say it out loud.
No.
Nobody cares.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Whisper it to me.
No. I'll say it right wrong.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
What does it start with?
It's a game.
No, what does it start
Just
with?
go.
It's Cascadia.
Yep.
Yeah. Chris is number 4. My number 1. Oh boy. First time I played this game, I immediately wanted to play it again, but I immediately wanted to show people. And I hadn't gotten that feeling from a game until then. I played it and it was done, and I looked around, I was like, hey, anybody want to see this? Have you seen this game over here? This Cascadia game? I can teach it to you right now if you want to learn how to play it.
Where were you?
And I was at the retreat. I was at the retreat the first time I played. Man, what a looker. This is, you're just building this sort of biome tableau in front of you. It's your own personal wildlife space. And you're doing so with these hexagon-shaped tokens, and also these round animal tokens that are going to go on some of these spaces. And when you draft here, you're going to pick a combination of tile and token, and there's a way to sort of split that up if you want to. But essentially, you're going to take those two and add them somewhere to your tableau. You don't have to match up the terrain types, like they don't have to adjacent touch each other, but you want them to because it's beneficial for scoring at the end of the game. The animal tokens then can go on certain hex tiles if that land supports them, if their picture is on there. Right. You can only put one on each. But the cool thing is you're getting points in a few different ways. So end game, you're going to get points for your actual terrain and your largest areas of each one. But you're also going to get points for the animals that are in the game. And what I love about Cascadia is that there are different ways to score each animal that makes for a different setup on each game.
Right.
So, there's 5 or 6 different cards for each animal. There's parts of it that are essentially the same, but it does vary enough that is different.
Yes.
Nice spatial thing going on. And it gets compared to, Calico and Verdant a lot, sort of a trio of games there. And then the sort of argument against Calico is very restricting in where you can build because it's an inlaid board. This has no borders. You can go out any way you want. I like this one the best, and I think I like Verdant the second best, and I think I like Calico the least, but I do like Calico. It's not leaving my collection anytime soon. But Cascadia, will never say no to playing. We talked about the expansion a few videos back, and it adds some good stuff, some stuff that's not totally necessary. I've also played, but I know Brian has they have 2 roll and write versions of Cascadia now that are available. Yeah. And then what's Chris saying? Don't forget from your favorite game. Yeah. Yes, the community list. We're very excited about that because one of the main things that we pride ourselves on, and I know this is dear to Chris's heart, is to building that community where it's not necessarily always about how much content you pump out or how many subscribers you have, but how do those people interact with each other. And that's the Discord. If you really want to get a sense of the community, jump onto our Discord and you can see how much chatter goes on there outside of just talking about board games. There's lots of other stuff going on there as well. And then it's awesome because we get to see some of these people in person sometimes. Thank you, Aaron. Great list overall. Some solid picks. I appreciate that. Thank you, Brian, for the kind words. We made it.
We did.
We made it. Nobody got injured. And yeah.
And I didn't run away.
So real quick, we'll take a look at the overall picks here from number 20. Again, a lot of shape up on the bottom third or fourth or 3/4 of the list, I should say. And not much changed at the very top. Boy, oh boy, I can make this list again tomorrow and it might look completely different. Because that's the way it works when you force people to make these arbitrary rankings decisions. Thank you, Danielle. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. Yes, it was nice to meet you in person as well, Danielle. That was a great surprise. Hopefully not the last time. Anything you want to add about any of the games that we talked about that you disagree with, that you think shouldn't be on my list, or that you hate?
No, I actually don't think you put any games that I'm like, ugh. There's only one game that you like. If you bring it out, I'm like, that train game. What is that one that I don't like?
Oh, Railroad Inc.
Yeah,
no, that's not on my top 50.
No, I'm just saying. There's in this room there's probably only one that I would be like.
Okay, that's up there.
Is it?
Yeah, it's over there. I'll probably get rid of it because nobody likes it anymore. In our house, anyway. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you back here tomorrow night for Brian Arwin's top 2020, top 40. Casey Kasem. All right, let's see if I can put his music on in a normal way without blowing everybody's ears. There we go. All right, see you later, folks. Goodbye.